A lot of people came to our house. Minnie Pearl, Dinah Shore, Glen Campbell landed a helicopter in our front yard one time. You want to hear that story?
Yeah.
I was coming home from school, and the road was like a quarter mile down from my house. You had to walk up this dirt road to get to our house. So the bus would drop me off at the end of the road. And one day I get off the bus, and there's a helicopter parked in the front part of our house. And I get to the house, and Glen Campbell is there. He was playing Albuquerque, and had hired a helicopter and pilot to fly him up to my dad's house. But he got lost along the way. They were just following the highway according to my dad's directions how to get to the house. So anyway, so they flew to a drugstore near our house, landed in the parking lot, and Glen Campbell got up and said, "Excuse me, do you know where Roger Miller lives?" And they said, "Yeah, you go down here and you go right and left." And they knew exactly where to tell him to go. So they just followed the road and landed in our yard. And Glen Campbell hung out for the day.
Wow.
So that was a cool day.
Was he a nice, pleasant guy?
Oh, I knew him all my life. He taught me when I was little. He taught me how to twirl a gun. I can twirl a gun. He was my best man at my dad's third wedding. My dad always threatened that for his wedding to my stepmother, he was going to send out wedding invitations that said Mrs. Roger Miller III. But anyway, so he was best man at that wedding. Well, that's another story. I have a million stories, but at that wedding, my dad used to have this joke. It was a formal wedding. They had a white shotgun. So Willie Nelson had a shotgun with a white stock and silver plated, and he had it engraved to my dad for his wedding. And he walked up the steps of the church with that double barrel shotgun folded over his arm and his long hair, and he just looked like a scene coming up the steps to the church, with a shotgun. Always being a kid at the party, there were always celebrity kids that they'd say, "Go in the other room and watch TV," and we'd all be in the room having to be forced friends, and then there'd be a party going on outside. I went to many parties at Glen Campbell's. I've seen Glen Campbell at the house, at shows. I mean, he was a big part of my childhood. He and my dad were close. And I got another story about him. He would call the house, and my dad would say, "He must be doing Carson," because he would call my dad the night before he was going to do a big television appearance, and he'd write down jokes. So he talked to my dad, and he'd write down stuff he said, and then he'd go on the Tonight Show and say, "Roger Miller told me the story. Roger Miller told me." So he'd get material.
Yeah.
So also, there's a picture over there you can't see, but that's Willie Nelson's guitar, Yeah. And there's my dad's signature is huge on the bottom of it, and it's been there for 1,000 years. And I asked my dad one time, why did you sign it so big? And he said, "Because I knew this guitar would be seen all over the world. I wanted my name to be bigger than everybody else's." That's a good reason. That's a really good reason. Yeah.
It's a wise man.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Before I move on from Glen Campbell, I mean, just a fabulous guitar player.
Oh yeah.
Did they? I don't know. Your dad or anyone ever talk about his prowess in guitar?
Yes.
His reputation, whatever you might have about that.
Yes, he said he always thought he thought he was the greatest singer. He tried to get Ray Price to hire him before he was famous, and Ray Price said, I'm not hiring that guy." And then he later became Glen Campbell. My dad said, I don't know if I should. I guess I can tell it. Everybody's dead, but anyway, he said, Glen is the best. He's the best singer, the best player, the best everything. And then he opens his mouth and goes, "Hi, I'm Glen Campbell." And he said, if he just shut up, he'd be revered. That's what my dad said, so yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. He was joking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my dad lived in Santa Fe, New Mexico. We all lived there through my high school. And they used to have this film festival there where all these huge stars would come for this Santa Fe Film Festival. And I was just obsessed with the movies and all that stuff. And I would go and try to meet all these people and see all the movies and all this stuff. And they had this party for all the stars of the film festival. And my dad was invited. So we all go down to this party. And in the same room at this party was Robert Duvall, Gene Hackman, Shelley Duvall, Sam Shepard, and my dad. And we're all in this place having dinner at different tables and milling about and all this stuff. And I was sitting next to Sam Shepard at the table, and it was getting late. And I said, "I cannot believe I'm sitting here in this room with all these people, and tomorrow I have to get up and go to high school." I said, "I just can't believe that's happening." And he said, "Here, I'll write you a note." And he reached in his pocket and had pen and paper, which I thought, as a writer, that's so cool. He has to have it there, but pre cell phones and everything. And then he wrote a note: "Please excuse Dean from his humanities class." That was my class in the morning. Humanities class. He had a sudden attack of nausea. And I took that note to school and I held it up for the principal and I said, "You can read this note, but you can't have it." I said, "I'm keeping it." And he said, "Who's Sam Shepard?" And I went, "That's why I don't like high school." Right? Okay. Right? That's why I don't like high school. But I have a follow-up story to that.
Okay.
Anna Gunn, who's an actress, she was on Breaking Bad. She played Bryan Cranston's wife. Well, she was in my high school class, and she and I went to the prom together. So she was my prom date, and it was at this hotel ballroom. And she ditched me after I got there. She ditched me immediately. I don't know why, but something was up. So feeling sorry for myself, I go and walk around the lobby of the hotel, and Sam Shepard just happens to be walking through the lobby of the hotel and sees me because he lived in Santa Fe at the time. And he goes, "Hey, what's up with you?" Because he remembered me from that party, right? And I said, "Oh, my date just ditched me," or whatever. And so I sat in a hotel lobby and just commiserated and hung out with Sam Shepard, which made my prom 1,000 times better than it would have been, right? Yeah. So that was a pretty cool story. Well, I think Sam Shepard is an unsung hero. He's a playwright first and foremost, and people don't take that into account. But he wrote plays, and then he became an actor. But he's a great actor too.
So going back to your first story, you also, I heard you say earlier that Harry Dean Stanton was at that party.
Yeah.
And Harry Dean Stanton is my favorite actor.
Oh, okay.
And on your note, it says 1983.
Right.
Which is when they were making Paris, Texas, which Sam Shepard wrote.
Right.
I'm wondering, were they doing something there?
Probably.
And was Wim Wenders at the party, maybe?
No, he was not there.
Okay.
But this film festival was very prestigious at the time, and they would bring people from all over the world. I mean, I used to collect autographs, and I have all these people, Francis Ford Coppola and Ginger Rogers, and all these amazing people who came to that film festival, Charlton Heston. It was an amazing little pocket of time, and I was really into movies at the time. I thought I was going to go into being in the movies. And so it was a really cool time of my life, you know. I didn't see him around except for that film festival, but I think he certainly Tender Mercies and then being around, he was always friends with Willie Nelson and all these people. So I think he was in some way connected to country music, but I don't know for sure.
I think Tender Mercies is my favorite movie about a musician and the song that he wrote and sang, and that hurts so much to face reality. It's just absolutely perfect and beautiful and heartbreaking. And if you haven't watched that, watch Tender Mercies tonight.
Right.
And then Paris, Texas, if you're not depressed enough.
Boy, that's a heavy one. But I have several cool Harry Dean Stanton stories.
Please.
Not a lot of people. I don't know if not a lot of people. I don't think Harry Dean Stanton gets the appreciation he should. But he was part of a legendary crew of actors. I mean, he's been in everything. But he was a very good friend of my dad's, and I saw him many times. And he used to come and stay at our house in Santa Fe and was obsessed with Scrabble. So they would play Scrabble, and he would cheat. He would cheat all the time. And you would say, "That's not a word," and he'd say, "Prove it. Prove it." And then people go, "Oh, no, let it go." And then you find out later it wasn't a word, you know, or whatever. He loved Scrabble. So, but two stories, if I can take up time talking about Harry Dean Stanton. One, he was dating Rebecca De Mornay at the time, and she was not famous yet. She was in Risky Business and a lot of other big movies, but she was not famous at the time. But she was dating Harry Dean Stanton. She was much younger than he was, and she came and stayed at our house. And she tried to pass me a joint. My dad said, no, he's 15. Okay. So that was one story. And then I got to ride in the car with her and up next to her, and I thought, yeah, my thigh rubbed up against Rebecca De Mornay's thigh. That's pretty cool. And then the other story is that Harry Dean Stanton was staying there, and he said, there's this guy, John Hughes, who's a director, and he directed The Breakfast Club or whatever, but Harry Dean Stanton didn't know who he was or his significance. And I said, well, I'm like 15 or 16 or whatever I was. And I said, and he speaks to my generation. I said, we love his movies, and he's huge in the world of young people. And he said, well, he's trying to get me to be in this movie called Pretty in Pink. and play Molly Ringwald's dad, but I've been working so much, I don't want to do it. And I said, you should do it because it's going to be huge. This guy's huge to young people. So he did it. So I don't know if I had any influence on that, but I hope I did.
Yeah.
I hope I did.
I think that one stands up pretty good too.
Yeah, it does.
Harry Dean had a great run there, but I forgot that he was even in that.
He was in that. He was in Missouri Breaks with Marlon Brando. He was in The Godfather 2. He was in
Cool Hand Luke.
Cool Hand Luke, right?
Repo Man.
Repo Man. And one of my favorites that is a very underappreciated movie is Rancho Deluxe with Jeff Bridges, which I love.
Yeah.
And he was in that.
Wow. Did he play music when he was around the house?
Yes, he played the guitar. I didn't think it was good. Who am I to say? I just happen to live with the world's greatest songwriter, but yeah,